or believers and pastors should humble ourselves under the mighty hand of God. That we are to humble ourselves under the mighty hand of God. Now as Peter moves on here, as he says that we should humble ourselves because God does not like the proud and He gives grace to them. He goes on right here and he says, humble yourself. He says, humble yourselves therefore under the mighty hand of God. And you say, why, Brother Jared, would I humble myself under the mighty hand of God? Because the only way to escape the judgment of God is to God's hand is to humble ourselves under His mighty hand. You see, there's going to be a day, and I know this is an eye-opener to a lot of people, but there's going to be a day when God's going to call everybody in this world to Him, in front of Him. And He's going to stand them on the day of judgment, on the mighty judgment day. And those people that are high and mighty and are proud, I will guarantee you, they will not be high, mighty, and proud when they stand in His presence. So when Peter says, humble yourselves therefore under the mighty hand of God, he's saying do it on this side of eternity. Because there won't be a chance to humble yourself on that side of eternity. And when we says under the mighty hand of God, it means that we do everything God wants, everything God asks us to do, that we're to humble ourselves under. Because guess what? When I get the privilege to preach here this morning, it's a very humbling fact that He called me. When you get to teach this morning, it should be a very humbling fact that He allows you to teach. When they play the piano and the organ, it should be a very humbling fact that we get the opportunity, or we have the privilege and the knowledge to do so, or to bulletin, or clean the church, or sweep the parking lot. We should humble ourselves under that fact because God allowed us to do it and we wasn't worthy to begin with. He says that in the bottom of verse 6, he says that He may be exalted. You see those last words? That He may exalt who? You. But when will He do it? In His due time. Now look there with me where he says in His due time. You see, God never, church, listen to this. God never exalts anyone or anything until that person is ready for it. Did you hear that? God never exalts anyone or anything until that person is ready for it. Now you say, why? Because if He exalts some people, guess what? They'll be high and mighty and proud and puffed up and blown up. But He does it in His time. But now look what else He says here. He says that humble yourself under the mighty hand of God, that He may exalt you. But He says in due time. What's He talking about? He's saying, ladies and gentlemen, if we're breaking this down, that the cross comes before the crown. Did you hear that? That the cross comes before the crown. You see, we have to be the people that go and do the things before we ever receive the crown.